Hello, my name is Amir, and in this video we're going to talk about Sahel Adaptive Social Protection Program, and we're going to talk about what is economic inclusion, what are its types, and what specifically about we're going to talk about Sahel Adaptive Social Protection aims and its components, and then its implications. Most of the contents of this presentation are driven from Sahel Adaptive Social Protection Program annual reports in 2018, 2019, and 2020. The rest of the references are given in the slides. All participants are from existing safety net schemes which were introduced in 2014 across 6 countries in the Sahel region: Burkina Faso, Chad, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, and Senegal. The Economic Inclusion Program was introduced in 2017, accompanied by cash for work programs in some of the countries. Economic inclusion includes mechanisms that enhance the economic generation capacity of the poor or marginalized individuals within non-poor households, addressing social, environmental, and productive constraints in a sustainable manner to ensure a certain level and stability in income sources out of poverty. This is a definition of economic inclusion by FAO. There are two main kinds of economic inclusion programs. One is Cash Plus and the other one is graduation. Cash Plus is a combination of cash transfers and productive assets and inputs like livestock or grain and technical training. So these technical trainings can be about investment, soft skills, about sustainable farming, and the goal is to develop human and social capital and achieve more productive investments and behaviors, like diversifying the way people can earn money so they can move out of poverty. They can be more resilient in face of shocks. So one thing that differentiates Cash Plus programs to graduation programs is that Cash Plus is not time bound, and the target is those living in poverty and those who are vulnerable. But graduation targets the most poor people, and it aims to graduate these people out of this extreme poverty with a big push. So in a limited time, mostly in 36 months. The idea is that if you properly educate people, train them about how they can earn money and how they can invest, and give them the assets they need to generate income and diversify their income, or give them the capital in terms of cash, in large cash to invest this money, they will go out of poverty. Looking at Sahel Adaptive Social Protection, there are two main goals. The first one is reducing poverty in a sustainable way, which is kind of graduation. And the second one is boosting household resilience to shocks, the adaptive social protection part of it, in 3 levels. First one is at beneficiary level, boosting productivity, diversifying income sources, and this, which is anticipated to increase their resilience to shocks. And at community level, fostering inclusion, group dynamics by forming groups and connecting people to each other. And the third one is at program level, by adding shock responsive part to social assistance. So based on these goals, there are 3 main components. The first one is government leadership, second one defining institutional arrangement, and the third one is about adaptive social protection, and it has three components itself: information or data, the second one is programs, and the third one is finance. Government ownership or leadership means that at high level policies and strategies, we should be able to find social protection being institutionalized, sustainable budgeting is being provided, and also adaptive social protection's role in shocks and resilience building, and its role in social protection, in disaster risk management, in climate change adaptation, in humanitarian and NGOs strategies and plans should be clearly defined. So it's not just about social protection. Now we have adaptive part of it too. Institutional arrangement means finding coordination at three levels. First, between social protection and disaster risk management staffs. Second, between social protection and humanitarian actors in forms of agreements. And third, among sectors like adaptive social protection working groups, sectors. And this institutional arrangement needs investment in adaptive social protection, in implementation, like in physical and human resources, and it requires increasing capacity and accountability of the program. The third component of Sahel Adaptive Social Protection Program is financing, and it is provided by multi-donor contributions and also government partnership. The next component is information and data. Here the goals are developing social registry, adding spatial risk and vulnerability, and to the household poverty data, and developing data sharing platform among different sectors and organizations, and including those exposed to shocks in the social registry, making sure that they are in the social registry, and updating social registry data regularly, and introducing data sharing protocols, and also developing standard monitoring tools across all systems and programs, monitoring. And lastly, we should have monitoring and evaluating data regularly. Now we're going to take a look at the program package. The first steps of Sahel Adaptive Social Protection was to diagnose and assess the constraints that people face using qualitative and survey-based methods. And the second one was that having some meetings with the government and trying to reach consensus on the main constraints to be tackled. And finally, they've reached these four components or constraints, which are poor access to capital, including financial inclusion, and lack of business skills, the pressure of social and gender norms, and lastly, limited access to market. So based on these constraints, the components of economic inclusion package has been chosen. The first one is group formation and coaching, which is a central part of the whole package of program. And you can see the signs of it in most of the components. So these coaches were chosen from community volunteers. And the second component is social norm sensitization, which has been done through screening a video about a couple who have some problems, financial problems, and they come up with some solutions to diversify their livelihoods. And this clip followed by a facilitated discussion. So people in the community took microphone and spoke about their own what they think about the movie and their own experience. So the third component is savings group formation. So these components that I'm talking about, I mean the second and the third, they are done through this group formation and coaching. The third one is related to, which is also led by a coach, is Village Saving and Loan Association. In a session, they elect people who are responsible in this saving group, and the methods were explained. They received handouts and brochures about how it works. The fourth component is life skills training about gender relations, communication skills, risk-taking, and this is also done through the group formation and coaching, which lasted like around 1 week. And the fifth component, which is again educational, is about micro entrepreneurship training, about fundamental skills in micro business management, basic accounting, and planning principles. So during this week, the participants are encouraged to come up with a plan to how they're going to spend the cash grant that they will receive in the following months, and find the best ways to increase their income and benefit. So the sixth component is cash grant, one-off transfer of 70% of yearly per capita consumption. So in each country of Sahel adaptive social protection program, in each country the amount was different. And the seventh component is related to access to market, forming group to buy the inputs cheaper, and they receive information on seasonal prices, on storage, on group selling of products. Overall, this component is meant to increase the participants' connection to the market. So what reports tell us about the outcome of Sahel Adaptive Social Protection Program is that, first of all, it increases the aspirations and decision-making power of women over their resources, and it has changed the perception of the community about women's role in the economy in a positive way. The second positive outcome is that the village level savings and loan groups was successful in terms of risk sharing and risk pooling. The third component, the third success, is that business plan production, norm synthesization, and using the local level coach were helpful. In terms of adaptive capacity, whether it increases the adaptive capacity of the participants in face of climate change, we don't know yet, but we should wait for the results. And scholars tell us that it's so soon to reach a conclusion about it. And also, what else we get from Sahel Adaptive Social Protection is related to new initiatives like Aspire, using weather and climate data to improve the resilience of people. But again, it is so soon to use this too, but the important part is that they are working on it to make it more precise and using weather predictions for increasing the resilience capacity. Also, this program is a great example of ASP based on resilience building with comprehensive and multiple schemes. However, can we call any social transfer adaptive if they just add some small components to the traditional social transfers? Tenzing tells us that no, the changes should be transformational, like the political and institutional system should change. And in the case of Sahel adaptive social protection, it hasn't changed. Also, the financing is still relying heavily on bilateral and multilateral donors. On the other hand, Ben and colleague think that adaptive social protection can be considered transformative for beneficiaries and also at systematic level, because this program goes beyond the short-term response of shock responsive social protection, which deals only with the coping part of resilience, and it also contributes to empowerment and equity, and also structural and procedural change happen in this process at the government level, at the financing level, and at the collaboration between the climate change adaptation and social protection sectors, and also between social protection and disaster risk reduction sector. So these are the resources, and thank you so much for listening. And if you have any comments or questions, you can also use my email or use the comment sector. Thank you so much.